Hi there, I'm Sylvia Plester-Silk, and 10 Minutes to Joy is your weekly invitation to reset, recharge, and rediscover your most joyful self through aha moments and simple energy techniques. Today, we're talking about tolerations. I'm not talking about tolerating and lack of tolerance, but I'm talking about those things in your life that you're not really happy with and yet you tolerate. It could be some small object in your home that you really don't like or used to like, or, you never know. Someday you might have a use for. Yeah. Holding on to those things can hold on to and spend a lot of unnecessary energy and even prevent you from moving your life forward. Um, so what are tolerations? It's just something that we're not happy with, and we just sort of turn a blind eye and pretend it's not bugging us, or it's okay, it's good enough. And I'm here to say to you today, that's not good enough for you. You deserve better. So how do you get better in your life? Well, what is it that you're tolerating and making do with? Let me give you an example from my life, and I'm not particularly proud of this, but way back in the 1980s, I bought a Bond knitting machine. It was the piece de resistance at the time, and I had this vision that I was going to do all this wonderful knitting with this machine. And I held on to it. It was expensive. In fact, it wasn't even a really affordable one for me when I bought it, but I splurged. And I held on to that knitting machine till a few months ago in 2024, when I finally gave myself permission to let it go. You see, every single time I walked into my craft room, I'd see that. Maybe in the back of my mind, I wouldn't necessarily, sometimes my leg would bump on it when I was working on something. And each time I noticed it, even in my periphery, I started to think about how, ooh, that was a really bad decision. I really should use it. Ah, oh, I can't donate it. I spent so much money on it. But you know what? The day that I decided to donate it and I took it off to the thrift store, I have had relief. I go into my craft room and there's a sense of freedom. There is not this big anchor holding me down and reminding me of a bad decision I made all those years ago. So, how do we figure out what we're tolerating? And it can be something tiny, like you've set 2 or 3 items down on their stairs and you're going to take them upstairs sometimes, but you find that, at the end of the day, you've walked up and down the stairs a number of times and the items are still there. Or it can be the knitting machine of the 50-year saga or 40-year saga. Math is not my specialty, bear with me. So are you holding on to things like I did because of making a bad decision and shame and embarrassment about it? How many of us are holding on to clothes that don't feel nice when we wear them, or that don't fit us in our closet, or books that we should read because we bought, but we know we never really are going to read? Many years ago, I read this book by Florence Scovel Shinn, and she was an incredible lady. She wrote this book in the 1920s, and it was published under a female name. Now, that in itself is credible. And she talks about the law of use. So the law of use is, if I have something and I'm not using it, it's better to free up the energy and gift it or donate it to somebody who will actually use it, so that it's not like a stagnant energy in your home or your environment. And why do we keep holding on to this stuff? Maybe we're ashamed and feel we should get use out of it, like the knitting machine. Or maybe we just fear that we won't get something better. And I think we do this a lot of times when we tolerate bad relationships. People that, take advantage or don't call us back or don't make the effort in relationships or are rude to us or demeaning to us. And we just sort of tolerate it because, that's just Sally or that's just Joanne or whoever it is in your life. And sometimes we have to get rid of an item. And sometimes the toleration and ending it has to do with just simply speaking up and saying, can you help me understand when you said that last remark to me? What was your purpose in saying that? And maybe give them a second thought. It may be that you need to say, hey, I'm not okay with you speaking to me in that way. Can you please refrain it from doing that? And starting to ask questions or take those risks in those relationships because one of two things will happen. It will deepen the relationship or it may end the relationship. But holding on to a relationship that's just good enough, again, isn't it good enough for you? So, and when we end a relationship or a relationship just simply fades away, which sometimes happens, then we have all of this freedom, this emotional freedom. And oftentimes, someone new that's even a better fit will come into your life. But we need to learn to let go of these objects and items or these tolerations in our lives. So, what I would recommend that you do is simply grab a pen when you have a few minutes and start to write a list of what you're tolerating. It may be a room in your home that you've wanted to rearrange, but you just haven't got around to. It could be your books, and you want to go through your books because there's a whole bunch of books there that you've never read, and maybe you want to pick a book to read, or maybe you want to lend them out to other people that will use those books or donate them. So there's all sorts of ways of doing this. But when we hold tight onto the energy and we ignore and we tolerate, we're accepting less for ourselves than we are truly worthy of. So, how much mental energy and emotional energy are you using up? Have you ever had that where you finally got around to cleaning up a room and then you felt such this zen sense? Or you finally had that conversation with somebody and the relief and you almost feel your shoulders drop because you're feeling much more relaxed in your own presence and in their presence. Um, so learn just recognizing where we're tolerating that isn't working, and then starting to make a plan in small, bite-sized, measurable pieces of ways that you can take action steps. So it might be I'm going to clean a certain area. Um, I'm going to get rid of that broken colander and find a new one. It might be I have six of something that I'm not using. Who in my network can use it? There's things like free libraries out there for books. Um, because if we're holding on to it and it's not bringing joy in our lives, by letting it go, we may actually help someone else have more joy in their life. And oh, by golly, we'll get more joy because it opens up the space for new energies and new possibilities and new relationships to enter our lives. My folks, it's early in the year and it is time to let go of those tolerations, those things that just keep that energy stuck in your life and aren't quite good enough, but you kind of tell yourself they are. So, how can you let go of tolerations in your life today? I encourage you over the next week to begin to make that list and start to just become aware of where you want to make changes. We've shared another 10 minutes of growth together. Remember, joy is a practice, not a destination. Keep understanding your tolerations and moving forward, making changes. And I'll be right back here with you next Friday. Please rate and review my podcast, 10 Minutes to Joy, and help us spread the joy to even more listeners. Thank you.